Hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy Halloween to those who are celebrating. Dia de los Muertos. We're going to wait a second as people file in here. Hope everybody's ready to cook and having a great day. My name is Chef Alex, here with Homemade, and I'm here with my friends at the Swedish Center for Healthy Aging, here with my friend Dina, who is a nutrition educator. And I'm also here joined virtually by Dr. Nancy. Dr. Nancy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you, Homemade Cooking, for this wonderful collaboration. We at the Center for Healthy Aging and Women's Brain Health Program at Providence Swedish are so glad to be back for our second of 4 Food is Medicine Brain Health series. And as I like to say, brain health really starts in the kitchen and in the body. And we know that by teaching and learning cooking skills, we improve our overall health and well-being compared to simply recommending healthy foods in the office or hospital or schools. And this is true for lots of reasons. Cooking education helps people and communities to practice and learn these vital skills to prepare healthy meals, gaining confidence, enhancing the chance of choosing nutritious and delicious options rather than fast food or takeout. And it's a communal activity fostering those social connections and encouraging healthier eating habits. So to riff on Michael Pollan, to promote well-being and brain health, we want to eat food, not too much, mostly plants, and mostly homemade. Thank you. I'm so looking forward to this, and I'm happy to answer questions in the chat.
Thanks so much, Nancy.
I love that.
So this is our second course in the series here, and today we're going to cook some Greek lemon chickpea stew, also known as algo lemono, which is the version with eggs. Today we're making a vegan version so that you can eat this for those of you with dietary restrictions or potentially with some also allergies like folks in my family. And so we've got a really, really robust recipe here. When I think of fall, I think of stews. I don't know about you.
Yes.
Does stew make you think of fall?
Absolutely.
Definitely. So let's start cooking. First things first, you're going to get this Dutch oven or a deep pot starting to saute. And so we're going to get this sauteing here on about medium-high heat with a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Olive oil is something that I think a lot about when we talk about Mediterranean food. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that fits into the Mediterranean diet and the health benefits?
Yeah, so extra virgin olive oil is one of the main components of the Mediterranean diet. And we see that it is a really good healthy fat that should be used for salad dressings and for low heat cooking. And it just has a lot of antioxidants that are really good for brain health.
Is there such thing as too much olive oil or a bad kind of olive oil potentially?
So it is a healthy fat, but as with any fat and any food in general, it's like we always want to do everything in moderation.
Got it. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and as we start cooking this, we want you guys to count along how many different vegetables and plants we're having for the microbiome.
So we'll get started with our first. We're gonna get this onion diced. And so to start dicing this onion, I cut off the bottom. You see the root end here is on the other side, so I'm leaving that. And then I'm cutting this vertically here. And the reason I'm leaving the root is just to make it a little bit easier to peel and to also hold the onion together. So we're gonna start by turning this so you're cutting along the grain here, and you're cutting about 90% of the way through, and less than about a 1/4 inch. Once we've got our vertical cuts, if we cut just basically at a bias, which means at an angle, then we can avoid having to do these second cuts. And you'll see it's already in almost perfect cubes. And then we will get going with, you can go ahead and add those as well. And that's great. I'm not used to having a partner cooking. It's very nice. Tina's going on that garlic, which looks great. And we'll give this another little stir with the onions. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the benefits of eating lots of garlic?
Yeah, so garlic is also a staple of the Mediterranean diet and the Mind diet. And garlic is, first of all, garlic adds a lot of flavor to your food. So in doing so, you're going to be using less salt is kind of one of the things that it's good for, but also it's, again, really high in antioxidants. You'll hear me talk a lot about antioxidants, but that's what's really important for brain health.
How about the onions? Do the onions also have some antioxidants as well?
Yes, of course they do, yeah.
Nice.
Should I throw these in there now?
That sounds great. So we're just waiting for the onions to kind of get translucent a little bit. It's about a 2 or 3 minute cook time. And then we'll add the garlic, which will have less cook time. We'll make sure we incorporate that with a good stir and seasoning. This is about the point that I would start to season just lightly with a little bit of salt and pepper to begin to add some seasoning to the rest of the dish, the base of the soup. We can always add more, but this is about a liberal pinch, so maybe about half a teaspoon or so, less pepper even. Would you mind giving that a stir?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks so much.
I have a question for you, Dina.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I hear a lot about, you want to eat antioxidants, but I don't actually know why. Like, what they do,
Yes. So antioxidants are really good for reducing inflammation in the body. And that's the benefit there. And everything's causing inflammation this day and age, so we definitely want to get our antioxidants in.
Okay, sweet.
So
Yeah.
I'm getting this celery going, which is the next ingredient here, and we're cutting this in basically strips to continue dicing, and I'm flattening this out. You'll see here I'm kind of pushing down. Celery can kind of be a pain to cut evenly, and so if you break it a little bit, that can help. If it doesn't matter if it's whole anyway, we don't mind. And we're gonna just dice, dice, dice. Be mindful of the fingers. Great. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this pot down, and I'm gonna have you help. This is the nice thing about having extra hands. And you can just slide these in. Thank you so much. You can go ahead and give that a good stir.
Great. This is smelling really good.
Oh, those aromatics are kicking in. I'm turning this up just a second here since we didn't want to cook those onions too much, but now we can get this heat going back up. And so we're gonna cook this for just about a couple more minutes here until the celery is starting to look a little translucent. And then we're gonna add the stock. We have also the half cup of brown rice. And here we have the chickpeas as well.
Yeah, and the chickpeas are a really great source of plant protein. And they're also very hearty, so it definitely fills you up.
I was just gonna ask that. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna add this stock. Let's get it going. So we have 8 cups here.
Can you reiterate the number of plants that you suggest to eat per week?
Yes. So we like to promote eating 30 different plants a week for your gut health. So something I always like to tell people is to focus on spices and herbs. Those blends are a really great way to sneak all those in.
All right,
Yeah.
so we got this stock going. Why don't we give that a good stir to just kind of incorporate some of the seasoning into the stock there. And we're gonna let that keep cooking at a pretty high temperature. I brought the temperature back up as we kind of bring it to a boil, and to help with that, we're gonna also cover it. That'll help us with the time. And while that's going, we can start to prepare our leafy greens. And so for this, we
Yes.
have these beautiful lacinato kale. I know that this is incredibly good for me, but the list of the ways that it is so long that I can't even seem to remember. I know antioxidants. What else is on that list?
Antioxidants. It's also, it has a lot of vitamin K, which is also really good. And you're also getting some fiber in there, some really dense fiber with this kale.
Novice question. What is vitamin K?
It's one of the essential nutrients that are needed, and it's really good for your blood. So yeah, it's great.
I did not know that.
And yeah.
We're gonna use most of this. We're gonna save a little bit of that stock for just the very, very end here. sometimes those last couple of inches of the stalk can be more fibrous. And so typically what I'll do is I'll just kind of tear about an inch just to cut those off. And so I'm kind of bundling these up, and I'm not going to throw that away. We're going to use it as well. But to make it a little bit easier to eat and not have these big, giant bites of stock, do you have any soups that are kind of like your go-to in your house? Or?
Yeah, so I love any type of like a creamy soup, and making it with like an almond milk. I feel like that was my mom's go-to.
Oh, nice.
And just making a large batch of that and having it a few times a week.
That's a good way to meal prep. All good things. For me and my family, my grandma loved to cook. She was a soup master. She loved kind of studying food as medicine. She learned English as an adult just so that she could study food and homeopathy. Go for it.
I'm gonna add these.
Yes, thank you. Luckily, the stock is not going yet, so we're not losing cooking time, but it's just heating up. And this is why we need 2 people here.
So
Make sure nothing gets missed.
We're adding the chickpeas and we're adding the rice.
Yes.
And the combination of the chickpeas and rice is gonna make this soup very, very filling. And also, I always get asked, like, can you get all the protein from a plant-based diet? And the answer is, of course you can. You need to plan a little and combining your foods like this definitely help get you there.
So from this meal, where would we be getting the protein from?
From the chickpeas and the rice.
From both?
From both, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Rice is not something that I initially think of as a high-protein food, but it's definitely there, and it's important to recognize, right?
Yes.
And so we were talking about soups, and I got so distracted talking about my grandma. I didn't even mention what my favorite soup was. It was definitely grandma-inspired. My grandma taught a few recipes to my family, but as she got older, those recipes weren't written down, and I feel like this is a common thing for a lot of folks, and maybe others have people in their family who have dealt with some cognitive decline, but my grandma in her later years had dementia, and so she forgot those recipes, which was definitely sad, but it was a chance for us to recreate those recipes from scratch. And so my mom and I made what was called levanta muertos, which in Spanish means to bring back to life. This is a soup that's going to bring you back to life, and it's full of a lot of these same ingredients that are packed full of nutrition and antioxidants. So there's lots of ginger and garlic, and we use chicken feet as the stock. So there's lots of collagen, and it was very, very, very fatty and rich. And then we would finish it with bok choy and ramen noodles. So that was a soup that I always thought of. And yeah, so we'll be doing about a half cup of lemon juice. And so I'll give you 1 more lemon, and hopefully the juice from 2 lemons will be enough.
Okay.
And
Dina working over there.
I know.
yeah, right? She didn't come just to hang out. She came to cook. And I'm going to actually cut a little bit of this lemon rind off so that we can save it off of one of them. And I'm going to actually incorporate that into the soup, which is not part of the recipe, but it's one of those ways, hey, why don't we just see if we can avoid wasting some of our ingredients here and incorporate them into the dish. So if you had a peeler, this would be a much better way to do it. We really just want that yellow part of the peel, not as much of the white. And I'm not going to incorporate too many pieces because I don't want people getting a bite full of peel. If I were you, I would do a much larger piece if you're going to do it at the very beginning. This is an impromptu addition, but add a larger piece at the beginning. It's definitely at a rolling boil, which is great. That rice is cooking, and I'm just going to give it a stir to make sure nothing kind of sticks to the bottom. Looks like it's doing great. Let me continue cooking. Can you tell me a little bit about the Mind diet as a whole? I know some folks who might have had the chance to sit in on the last part of the series heard.
Yeah, so the Mind diet is short for the Mediterranean Intervention and Neurodegenerative Delay. And it's basically a diet that combines the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet for brain health. And it's been shown to definitely delay cognitive decline. Mm-hmm. And it focuses on whole food, unprocessed foods, and minimizing sugar and and unhealthy fats. And it also it focuses on eating certain nutrients and certain fruits and nuts that we know are good for the brain, like blueberries and walnuts.
What are some of the other common ingredients in the diet?
So berries overall and a lot of nuts.
Berries and nuts, great.
Yep.
We're gonna see how this rice is doing, but I think we're probably gonna need at least another, it looks like it's been boiling for about 5 minutes, and we're gonna taste it to see, but it's not quite there. And so what we can do right now is start to make this tahini and miso sauce. And miso is packed full of flavor, so is tahini, and they're also pretty low sodium options to really add a lot of flavor to your food. So we've got about 2 teaspoons of each here with the miso and the tahini. It's kind of lightly mixed here, and we're going to incorporate it into this lemon juice here, and you can kind of start to stir that here a bit.
Okay.
Dina, I don't know like how much you can speak to this, but I have heard, talk of the town is like how connected your gut health and your brain are, that they're like talking to each other all the time. Like,
yes, exactly.
I'm like so curious about that.
Yeah, so that is definitely some of the newer stuff we're learning in terms of nutrition, the gut-brain axis, and kind of like how your gut health affects your brain health.
Yeah, it's like the second brain, right?
Yeah.
People say that.
And what you want to do to support that is eat your 30 plants, eat a variety of foods, unprocessed, and all that good stuff.
It seems like a really exciting time with medicine, at least like from an outsider standpoint. I'm seeing how a lot of doctors and people in more Western traditional medicine are seeing that connection between mind, body, and food and the rest of your health, right?
Yes, it's definitely gaining in popularity, but we've always known it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And so here we have some thyme, and then we also have some dill. And so if you want to help me just kind of break apart the dill and tear it into small pieces, that's great. And so first we're going to incorporate, Gina, if you want to pour in the tahini miso sauce, that's great. And then we'll incorporate the kale. Give this a good stir.
That looks good.
See what happens with it. I think it's now time to add the kale. We added that sauce, just kind of enough time to incorporate it into the rest of the stock. And this is about 1.5 cups, to be honest, probably 2 cups because we really like kale, right?
Yeah.
No
so
dumb
the
questions.
kale is starting to cook down. The leaves are definitely cooking down quite a bit. The stalks still need a little bit of time here. And I'm going to get this going down. We don't need to quite crank it as much as we were before. Just another little pinch, so we're still maybe less than a teaspoon and a half. It's a pretty small amount of salt for this whole dish. Another pinch of pepper. We'll incorporate that, give it another stir, let it do its thing. Slow simmer, and this is that time when patience is really going to be your friend. We're doing this pretty quick to show you all the steps, but if you want to let it sit at a slow simmer for quite some time, it's going to do a lot of good things with the flavor. And just like a lot of braises, a lot of stews, they're going to be better the next day almost as those flavors have melded and started to combine, but at least over the course of a couple hours as opposed to just doing it very quickly like this. Hope everybody who's cooking along is having fun and your soup is turning out well. Everything's just about time. Pretty soon that we serve some up. All right. And before we do that, we almost forgot one important ingredient for those of you who are following along or more observant, the dill. So this is that thing that we're not really cooking. We're just going to kind of give it a little incorporation at the very, very end. And this is when we'll add that thyme as well. So those fresh herbs are really going to brighten it up. But the reason we don't want to add those at the very, very beginning is they're going to kind of get muted. That flavor is going to get lost if you add them too early. So this is just that last stage. We're going to kind of stir it in, let it cook for about another minute here. Might as well use the rest
Just
of that
add it all
dill.
in.
Yeah, and there we are.
Yum.
We have a little bit for you. It's nice to have some company in the kitchen.
Nice. I'm excited to try this.
Me too. Thanks for sharing the time with us.
Yeah, I loved being able to like ask you every question that came to my mind.
I feel like I got some free, serious nutritional consulting. A lot of things I learned in today's lessons, so thanks so much. There's that.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Cheers.
And before we have a bite of this, I want to thank the Earth's abundance and the work of Loving Hands
Thank you.
for the soup.
Aw.
And thanks you guys for having us.
That was sweet.
Yeah, this was wonderful. Oh, let's see. Did anyone
right.
count along how many plants were in this? Let's see if anyone. And I think we even threw in some wild cards, some extras. Oh, 12? Did we end up with 12?
Yeah.
That
All
sounds right.
Yeah, nice, Nancy.
Yes.
Good job. Nice counting.
Nice.
Well, I'm pretty happy with this.
It's really good.
What I like is that it feels like it's filling and it's also light at the same time.
Yes. I like the brightness of the lemon.
Thanks so much for sharing the time. We had fun with you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for cooking, everybody. And this next class, we're going to have the following class in the series, which is going to be the mindful ferments and flavors. And so we're going to focus on making 3 versatile sauces that are going to help you up your fermentation game.